The show ended in May, the books did not. And if you finished season 8 and came looking for the reading order, you have already hit the real problem. Half the lists you will find are not a reading order at all. They are a timeline. Somebody has taken every novella, every short story, and every Lord John book, and slotted them in by the year the events happen, and handed you a homework assignment instead of a series. Diana Gabaldon has answered this on her own website. The major novels, she says, should be read in order. The Lord John books and the novellas are, in her wording, all designed so that they may be read alone. That is the whole map. Before the list, one honest warning about scale. This is 9 novels published across 30 years, and they are long. Starting Outlander today is not picking up a book. It is signing up for something closer to a degree. So here's who should skip it. If what you want is a tight, fast plot that resolves in 400 pages, this is the wrong series, and no reading order will fix that. What Gabaldon is writing is a life. Time is the medium. Right. 9 novels, 30 years of publishing, 1991 to 2021, and a 10th with a title and no date. Read these 9 in this order, and you have read Outlander. Nothing important is missing. One thing first, because it explains the shape of everything after it. Every novel runs 2 clocks. There's a year in the past and a year in the present, and Gabaldon publishes both of them on her own chronology page. That matters more than it sounds, because the present-day clock does not move at the same speed as the past one. It jumps. Nobody tells you that going in, and it is the single most common place a reader stops and thinks they have missed a book. Book 1. Outlander, 1991. 1946 in the present, 1743 in the past. Claire walks into a circle of standing stones and comes out 2 centuries early. That is the whole engine of the series, and it fires in the first act. My routing advice on Book 1. If the opening chapters feel slow, that is not you, and it is not a defect. The book is deliberately ordinary before it is not. Give it until the stones. If it has not got you by then, it never will. Book 2, Dragonfly in Amber, 1992. And here's the first thing that throws people. The present-day clock is now 1968, not where Book 1 left you. 22 years on, with no warning at all. Which brings me to the 3 places readers quit this series. Quit point 1 is right here, 30 pages into Book 2, when the present day has moved 22 years, and you are certain you have skipped something. You have not. Keep reading. Quit point 2 is the middle of Book 5, and I will be honest with you about that one when we get there, because it is the only place in 9 books where I think the criticism is fair rather than impatient. And Quit point 3 is not the books at all. It is a list on the internet telling you to stop after Book 3 and go read something else first. That one is entirely avoidable, and taking it apart is most of what this video is for. Book 3, Voyager, 1994. 1766 in the past, 1968 still running in the present. If you are wavering at Book 2, this is the one to hold out for. It is also where the trap we are coming to actually lives. Hold one detail from this book, because the whole argument later turns on it. Gabaldon says most of the Lord John stories sit in a gap inside Voyager, roughly 1756 to 1761. Remember that range. We are coming back to it. Book 4, Drums of Autumn, 1997. 1767 to 70 in the past, 1969 and 70 in the present. The series relocates to colonial North Carolina here, and it stays there for a very long time. So here's a caveat nobody puts in the list. If what you came for was Scotland, Book 4 is the adjustment, and it is a permanent one. Some readers never make peace with it. Better to know that now than at page 200. Book 5, The Fiery Cross, 2001. 1770 to 1772. This is the book people abandon, and I am not going to pretend otherwise. It is a very slow build, and the payoff is not inside it. My position, and it is not a shrug. Read 5 anyway, and read it as setup rather than as a book. Everything it spends 300 slow pages assembling gets spent in Book 6. Skip 5 and 6 lands on nothing. Book 6, A Breath of Snow and Ashes, 2005. 1773 to 76 in the past. And now a third clock starts, in 1980. If you pushed through 5, this is where you get paid. And I will put a stake in the ground. Book 6 is the strongest novel in the back half of this series, and it is the best argument for not quitting at 5. If somebody says it falls apart after 4, this is the counterexample. Book 7. An Echo in the Bone, 2009. 1776 to 78 in the past, 1980 in the present. It ends on a cliffhanger, and readers at the time waited 5 years for the next one. You will not have to. Book 8, written in My Own Heart's Blood, 2014. 1778 in the past, 1980 in the present. It picks up exactly where that cliffhanger dropped you, which is why reading 7 and 8 back-to-back is the right move. Book 9, Go Tell the Bees That I Am Gone, 2021. 7 years after Book 8, and then the series stops. Not ends, stops. Which brings us to the thing half of you came into this video to ask about. Know this before you start, rather than after. Begin Book 1 today and you will arrive at the end of 9 with no book, 10 waiting. That is the deal. Some people would rather wait for the finish, and that is entirely reasonable. Book 10. It does have a title, A Blessing for a Warrior Going Out, revealed in May of 2025. And on her own site, Gabaldon calls it the 10th and final book in the Outlander series of novels, featuring Jamie and Claire. What it does not have is a publication date, not a month, not a season, not a year. If a website is showing you one, that website made it up. When there is a real date, it will come from her, and not from a listicle. Now the part every other list gets wrong. Search for an Outlander reading order, and you'll be told to stop after Voyager and go read the Lord John Grey books, because that is where they fall on the timeline. Here is why that is bad advice. And I want to be fair to it first, because the arithmetic is right. Lord John is a real character in the main novels, and his stories do sit in that gap, 1756 to 61, inside the years Voyager covers. The timeline logic is correct. The reading advice built on it is not, because Gabaldon wrote them to stand alone. Her own wording is that they may be read alone, without reference either to each other or to what she calls the big, enormous books. The timeline lists override the author. So here is my position, and it is a position rather than a shrug. Do not interleave them. Read the 9. If you finish and want more of this world, then read Lord John as a side door, not as homework before Book 4. For when you do want them, Gabaldon's own site lists 4. Lord John and the Private Matter, Lord John and the Brotherhood of the Blade, Lord John and the Hand of Devils, and the Scottish Prisoner. Every one of them stands alone. There are separate novellas too. A Leaf on the Wind of All Hallows, 2010. The Space Between and Virgins, both 2013. Past Prologue and A Fugitive Green, both 2017. Same rule applies, read them when you want them. And to be fair to the timeline people one last time, there is something they get right. Those gaps are real. The novellas genuinely do slot into them, and threading them in is a lovely thing to do, on a second read or a fourth. But that is a reread strategy, and it is being sold to you as a first read. On a first read, the thing you are actually buying is momentum, and every standalone novella you stop for is momentum you do not get back. Let me answer the harder question, because somebody always asks it. If you are never going to read 9 books and you want to know which ones are worth your time anyway, I will give you a real answer instead of a diplomatic one. 1, 3, and 6. Outlander, because the premise is the whole reason this series exists. Voyager, because it is the book that converts people. And A Breath of Snow and Ashes, because it is the best-built novel of the 9. And the caveat, said plainly, because the caveat is the honest part. Reading 3 costs you real weight. This series pays in accumulation, 30 years of people aging and consequences landing. 3 books gives you the shape and not the cargo. One more thing people get wrong, so let me be blunt. Do not start with the prequel show, which arrived in 2025. Do not start with a novella, start with Book 1. The series was built to be entered at the Stones and nowhere else. And if you came here from the television series, 1 adjustment. 8 seasons finished the screen story in May. The novels have not finished. Book 9 landed in 2021, and Book 10 has no date. The books are not the show with more detail. There is more on the shelf beyond the fiction. 2 outlandish companion volumes, a graphic novel called The Exile, even a coloring book. All optional. None of it is a step in a reading order, and nobody should sell it to you as one. So, The whole thing in one breath. Outlander, Dragonfly and Amber, Voyager, Drums of Autumn, The Fiery Cross, A Breath of Snow and Ashes, An Echo in the Bone, written in my own heart's blood. Go Tell the Bees that I'm gone. 9 books. Everything else, Lord John, the novellas, the companions, the graphic novel, is optional, and the author says so herself. That, in one sentence, is the difference between a reading order and a timeline. If this stopped you from starting a Lord John novel you did not need yet, that was the entire job. There are free printable bookmarks for your historical shelf at hooktobooks.tv/bookmarks. Print them. Cut them out, use them. And tell me in the comments if you are a Fiery Cross defender, because I know you are out there and I actually want to hear the case. Subscribe. We do one of these every single week, and the next one has a worse trap in it.